So in the previous lecture, we have seen the installation process of Android Studio on our PC. We have firstly installed the Java JDK, then Android Studio, then Software Development Kit, that is SDK for Android. And then lastly, we have installed Android Emulator to run and test our Android apps. So let's now continue with the lecture. In this lecture, we will be creating our first Android app and we'll also go through some Android basics. So let's start. Firstly, you need to open Android Studio, and then click on Create New Project. Here you see some predefined templates for your Android apps. Basically, these are some small Android apps which contain some code to get things started. For example, in this basic activity, you will find a floating action button and a menu option above here. Below, we have a template featuring Google Maps, navigation drawer, tabbed activity, and so on. Don't worry if you're not getting things right now. We will be seeing each and everything later on as we move further with the course. We can even choose this no activity option. But Android team makes things easier for new developers by offering these bunch of predefined templates. You will notice one thing, that all these template has a word activity in common. Right now you need not to think much about it. We will be discussing activities and fragments in detail in the coming lectures. But for now you can understand activities as different pages of your Android application. An Android app contains a bunch of different pages and you can consider activity as one such page. This definition of activity is not accurate. It even may not be correct. But for now, understand activity as a single page which is shown in your Android app. So for now I will be selecting this empty activity. This will be creating an empty page with no Android components. Click Next. Now we need to edit some of our app information, like name for our Android application. I will be typing my first Android application as the name for our application. Next, we need to edit the package name of our Android application. This package name should be unique to every application which has been released online. When you will going to publish your Android app to Play Store, your app will be identified with this package name. So in case you have a website for which you want to create an Android app, then you can type your website's name backward here. But if you don't have a website, then you can type something like com.example. Your application name. Moving on. We now need to define the path where we will be saving our Android project. You can click on this icon to edit the path of your project save location. Next, you have to select the programming language which you will be using to create your Android application. Here you are provided with two programming languages options, Kotlin and Java. In this course we will be working with Java programming language. So select Java. Next we need to select the minimum API level which will be supported by our Android application. Minimum API level means how many devices which are running on older Android versions will be able to run your Android application. You can see a bunch of different API levels when you click on this drop-down menu here. Here's a catch. If you want, you can go with the latest Android version where you can work with a bunch of new features, but only a handful of new devices running on that version. And other versions which came afterwards will be able to support your Android app. So you have to choose this carefully. I will be selecting API level 19, that is KitKat, for this Android project. That's all. Click Finish. Now wait for a few minutes and allow Android Studio to build your Android project. If this is the first time you are creating an app in Android Studio, then this process can take some time to finish, as it will be downloading some necessary stuffs like Gradle files, etc. from the internet. So the first thing which you can see is you got two separate files up here, activity main.xml file and main.activity.java file. These two files are created because we have chosen that empty activity option back then. Down here, you will see a build section. This build section shows your project build progress. Let's minimize this thing for now and talk about other things which we are seeing here. First, this project panel on the left-hand side. Also, we have multiple options up here like project, packages, project files, etc. You can select any one of those to see your project structure. Selecting project from this drop-down menu will show you the exact project structure of your Android app on your system. For now, change this to Android View. Android View is much more easy to work with when it comes to creating an Android app. And for most of the project, we will be sticking to this view only. Coming down, we have Gradle scripts. But before I talk about it, I firstly need to talk about project structure of an Android project. So in any Android application, there will be at least two files, the XML file and the Java file. XML file is responsible for handling the looks and design of your Android application, while Java file deals with the functioning part of your app. In other words, you can say that XML file deals with front-end part and Java deals with the back-end part. You will also be using various image files in your Android project. You can find all those files inside this resources folder. For example, inside this MIP folder, you can see app logo image. Basically, inside this resource folder, you can store all the static files which you will be using in your Android app, like fonts, images, audio files, etc. So these were the three basic components of any Android app. Firstly, we have the XML file. Beside that, we have the Java file and the static resource files. Beside this, we also got the Android manifest file inside this manifest folder. This manifest file will show you some general information of your Android app like. Here you can find the app icon, your app name. Also, you got all the activities that are created in your Android app. For now, let's close it. We will be talking about this manifest file later. So any Android app will be containing all these different files. But when we download any Android app on our device, we only see a single APK file. So how we generate that APK file? In that case, these Gradle script files will be useful. Whether you are creating your app to release it on Play Store or simply trying to test it on emulator, you will be needing these Gradle script files in order to generate final APK of your project. Beside this thing, Gradle also have one more purpose. If you want to use other project codes in your application, for example, if you want to use a media player in your project, then you need to add its dependency inside this build Gradle file. And by simply adding a single line of code, you can import that feature into your Android app. Moving on. Again, down here we got other sections like To Do. To Do sections comes very handy when we are developing any application. To Do doesn't actually contribute to our app logic. You can consider To Do as works which you don't want to forget while creating your Android app. For example, in your main activity, you can add a To Do like this. This thing acts a reminder for the developer or other team members working on the same project. Next, we have this terminal section. This is very much similar to our Windows command prompt. This is very useful when it comes to debug our code. After that, we have this build section. We have already covered it before. Here you can see the build progress of your Android app. You will face a lot of errors while building apps. In that case, you can exactly locate those problems from this section. We next have this logcat section, which will be useful when we are debugging our Android application. I would next like to point out one more thing. In most of the cases, when you are building any Android application, you get some warnings or errors. Even if everything is right, then also you get errors. This can be because of your Android Studio version. Android Studio might be buggy in some cases, and by simply going to File option and down here selecting Invalidate Caches and Restart can possibly solve errors. There is another tool which has been added to Android Studio recently, named Android Profiler. This Android Profiler helps you monitor the resources used in your Android devices by your Android app. Resource utilization like RAM usage, CPU usage, network usage, etc. can be easily monitored by this tool. So let's close everything for now and open this activity main.xml file. And here you can see a lot of options. The very first thing which we see here is these two views. The white view is called the design view, and the one next to it is called as the blueprint view. So why there are two different views? When you are designing your app, you will be implementing some components that are not visible in the design view, but you can view and keep track of those components in this blueprint view. For now, I will be disabling this blueprint view as we will not be working with that view in this course. To disable the blueprint view, you need to click on this blue stack icon and simply select Design option. On the left, we got a bunch of different Android components which you can use in your Android application. For example, we got a button right here. You can simply drag it in order to add it in your application. On the right, you can see different attributes for the components which you can add in your Android app. The most important of all is this ID attribute. This ID attribute will help us locate the component and implement its functionality from the Java file up here. These are only the few attributes, but if you want, you can access all the attributes from the drop-down menu here. I will be talking all about it in the upcoming lectures where I will be discussing the design and the UI part of our application. When you click here in the code section, you can see the exact piece of code of all the UI components that are added to our app design. So there are basically two methods which you can use to design your Android application. The first one is this design section where you can simply drag and drop the UI elements to your app design. And the next is this code section where you can write the exact code responsible for creating the UI elements. I am now going to define an ID for this text view as I will be working with it in our Java file. If you are not understanding what text view actually means, then it is just a fancy way of saying a plain text in Android. You can assign whatever the ID you want for the text view. For example, I will be giving txt_message as an ID for the text view. Keep in mind that when you are assigning ID to any component, you cannot use any space in between your characters. Also, you cannot use any special characters in your component IDs. The normal convention of assigning ID is in camel text. That is first letter small of the first word, and then starting capital letter for next words. Press enter. If we switch back to code section, you can see the ID has now been assigned to the text view in our Android app. Right now you can see that we have a warning in the button element. That is because we are using constraint layout and we haven't given any constraint to our button. Giving constraint to button will fix its position according to different screen sizes. But currently we haven't provided any constraints. In this case, when we run our Android app, we are most likely to see the button at the top left corner of our device screen, which is at place 0 and 0. You can simply add constraints to our button by simply dragging and dropping. So now I have added constraints to our button. You can now see that the warning which was showing previously for the button component has now been gone. Also, one more thing worth mentioning is that when we have added this button element in our design layout, it has automatically assigned an ID to it. If you want, you can change the ID for this button as well, like we have changed for the text view. Keep in mind that every component ID must be unique, as it will help us identifying components uniquely from our Java file.